There's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, always free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Hey guys. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. The Son sets free, always free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Woo! They praise it, they praise it, they praise it. Guys. That was awesome. That was awesome. Hey guys, how you guys doing today? Everybody feeling okay? We're meeting in the best of spirits. I hope, and if not, that's okay. That's why we're here, right? Loving on each other, supporting one another. In the world of mental health illnesses, right?
But again, even people who don't have a mental health disease, sometimes they feel sad too, right? It's just that it may happen more frequently for us. It may be more intense than what is considered to be normal, right? Today is Friday, September 29th. That was Brooke Ligertwood. I think I played her for you guys before. So it's Brooke, Brooke. Ligertwood is Ligertwood. Brooke Ligertwood. Who You Say I Am. And I like that song because, you know, society likes to tell people who they are, right? Those categories, different society, you know, like sections of society. What I mean by that is I do have a mental health disease, and a lot of people will put people with a mental health disease in a specific category where there's like a society of us. And then you have addicts, whether active or not. That's like a whole nother society, right? You have like the, what is it, the LG, I never could say that, LGBTQT community. In another whole society of themselves, right? And you have the transgenders, black, white, Hispanic, Native American, all these different categories of people telling us who we are, right? So that's why I like that song. Oh, don't forget the Christian society. You have like the religions, Muslim, Buddhism, Christianity, all these different societies and groups of people, and people out there trying to find their tribe, right? Where they belong, whether it's family, professionally, the business world. Everybody's grouped up, right? They have their own societies, right? So that's why I kind of like that song, because it's not society telling me who I am, it's who I believe to be, right? I like to believe that I am a child of God, and if the word God makes anybody nervous or uncomfortable, again, whether you call it Allah, Buddhism, Christianity, I mean, it's kind of all the same thing. Something within us, greater than us, who guides us, protects us, loves us, cares for us, right? And we all have these different names and different ways of practicing our spirituality, but it's kind of all the same thing, right? We just call it different names, right? And I just happen to I happen to choose to call my higher power God. And I did grow up around religious aspects. So yeah, you know, certain religion was like deep rooted in me. And again, I don't consider myself to be a religious person. I like to think that I'm more spiritual. And then you got to be careful when you say spiritual, because you got those people that say, oh, what kind of spirit are you talking about? I don't believe anything evil. I don't practice evil. I don't practice bad stuff. Um, you have like the Illuminati. I don't even want to say that word out loud on social media, right? Um, and whatever forms of other evil there is out there, right? What is it, like black magic, white magic? It's so difficult to speak freely these days, right? Because people are so quick to judge or accuse you of saying something bad. We live in a very highly judgmental world, right? Very judgmental. I guess, what is that? Freedom of speech has a price, right? Yeah. Freedom of speech has a price. Anyway, guys, it is Friday, September 29th, and it is the end of the week. We're going to close out the week. I do not plan on doing any new shows on Saturday or Sunday. I think I'm really going to take those 2 days to just rest. I am here Monday through Friday. I've been posting a show every day since I started this journey. I've been giving it my all. And like I said, it's more to it than just sitting here pre-recording my show and posting it on Facebook. There's all the behind the scenes stuff, and it's a lot, guys. It's a lot. So today I decided to kind of do like a week review, okay? So we can close out the week, and having Saturday and Sunday off from pre-recording and posting, right, will give me time to prepare my sessions for next week. Okay? Sometimes right before the show, from the time I wake up in the morning, right, through my whole day, my higher power and I are so connected. Like he's talking to me constantly, right? And as the day goes on, I keep like notebook and paper close to me, because I could be in the bathroom doing my hair. My higher power will give me words or phrases. And because I have so much information in there and it's going by so fast, I have to come and write it down, before I lose it. Because if I don't write it down, like sometimes I told you guys, it's so much in there and it's going by so fast that if I don't catch it in the moment, it can be gone. So, through the day, my higher power, he's giving me words, he's giving me phrases. I have to write stuff down, right? And then an hour before I actually pre-record my show, right, I have to sit through the material, the words and the phrases that my higher power has been giving me throughout the day, and because I'm just starting. So now I got to go back. I got to read through some stuff. I got to organize the stuff so that it's not sloppy information that I'm giving you guys, okay? And there is a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Like I said, I have people hitting me up on social media that I have to respond to. I be having phone calls to make. I myself am still learning, so I am on social media quite a bit. Making connections with other coaches in the field, jumping in some of their courses, their online stuff. Like, I have to keep learning. This is new territory for me. I've never been here before. And I need to stay on top of my game, okay? So, like I said, it's a lot of work, guys. I'm going to take Saturday and Sunday, and I'm gonna really try to relax, guys, because you guys know I'm always doing something. I am always doing something. Even when I say I'm gonna relax, I end up doing something. Outside of marketing and promoting my book, keeping up with my sales on different store websites. Oh, you guys, yes, in case people don't know, my book is now up on both Amazon and Walmart. Yay, right? Yes. And still, DorrensBookstore.com. There's a 1-800 number. Sorry, guys, I should have turned that off. There's a 1-800 number that you can call if you don't have internet or, smartphones, iPhones, computers. So I'm just going to give you guys, for people who don't have access to the internet for whatever reason, if you're interested in purchasing the book, you can call Dorrance Bookstore Department at 800-788-7654. I'm going to figure out a way to post that information up on my page here. It's all over social media. Like I said, I have a professional Facebook page, Johnny B. Hopkins Author. If you go to that page and you scroll through, I'm always posting that information. It should be like on TikTok, Instagram. You guys, I've been busy. Since I wrote my book, it was recommended by my publishing company that I create all these different websites to promote and market my book. I'm talking Instagram, TikTok. I have 2 Facebook accounts. One is personal, one is for business. I have to man I have an Author Central webpage. Author Central webpage on Amazon that I have to man. I have to man my sales with my publishing company. That's like a whole nother different website. And now with Walmart in play, when you're starting out, when you're not working for a company and you offer merchandise, right? There is nobody to make sure everything is like up and running smoothly, like all the different websites. There's no one watching your sales. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And then still having to do this. And I no longer have my day job. I think I told you guys that after 5 years of service, they let me go this week. I think it was like on Tuesday. So that kind of freed up a lot of my time. You would think. Like I said, my publishing company sent me, along with my books, right? This thing, right? And it's like all this stuff in here that I have to do, right? So I've been going through it and I've been checking off the boxes, and I've been focusing a lot on the online social media networks, but there are some things that I'm going to have to like get up and go and get out and do. So yeah, I'm going to have to start, like, now that I don't have my day job, it kind of frees up some time for me so that I can get out there to bookstores. I have to go to bookstores. I have to do libraries. I have to do book signings. Like, it's a lot. And then still keep up with my personal life, my house cleaning, my errands, bills, shopping. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I am very happy. I've been enjoying it. I love, 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 love doing this. And I'm going to tell you why. as I stated, right, I'm in my 50s. And it has been said to me, like in my 30s and then again in my 40s, that I should write a book about my life, right? And I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to do that. I was dead set against it, right? And then the pandemic hit. I'm now in my 50s. The pandemic hit. I was considered an essential worker. So I worked through the whole pandemic, which was good because it got me out of my house for 7 hours, give or take, a day, right? And because we were they shut everything down, so, and they also was not recommending that family members who didn't live in the same household visit one another. So I would come home from my day job, and I spent a lot of time here by myself, tuning my listening skills with my higher power, getting closer to him. And he said it was time. I sat down, wrote my book in 3 weeks, and that's how I knew it was nothing but God. The publishing companies, right? I sent my manuscript out to several publishing companies, and they couldn't believe I wrote my book in 3 weeks. They said usually it takes people like a year to write a book or more. I did mine in 3 weeks. They were astonished. So I know it was nothing but God. And we're talking, originally the manuscript was 245 pages, okay? We got it down to, I know it's at least 200. So we got it down from 245 to 200, right? Because I didn't want to make the book like that extensively long. So in case you guys have not yet seen my book, I know it is up on my website, on my YouTube page. You had to have seen it if you got to this session, okay? So the book is 201 page. It ends on page 201. So it's not too bad, right? I mean, it's extensive, but it's not overly extensive, right? And there's a lot of good information in there. Again, addressing childhood trauma. Since I wrote the book, I have since decided to advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. I am not a doctor. I am not a provider. I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist, and I am not a psychiatrist. I am simply advocating for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education. And the reason why I wanted to do that is I myself, like I said, am a woman in my 50s who has had a mental disease probably all of my life, but I didn't get in touch with that stuff until my mid-20s. So from the time of my mid-20s, when my symptoms started appearing, they were kind of mild. They weren't that frequent. Eventually, the intensity of them symptoms grew. It was very difficult for me in the beginning, going through the symptoms and not knowing why, not realizing it was happening. Sometimes, like, not only were they mild, but they were not as frequent. You would have these episodes, right? And then you may not have one again for a long time, and then now you're having these episodes all the time, right? Not just that, but it was affecting my life, okay? It was affecting my life. And up until I became aware of what was going on and got in tune with that stuff, my life was very difficult, and I was suffering. So anyway, some things happened, and I went to my provider, and I had some conversations with my provider, who then recommended that I start counseling. I did counseling for some time. My symptoms continued to intensify. They became more frequent. Like I said, I had some really scary moments, and that's when they decided to introduce meds, right? Even when I got on meds, I remember the first time they had introduced meds to me, right? I think the first thing they ever gave me was Paxil, right? And I did not take them right away because, when you come from communities like mine, right? We're going to say, quote unquote, the Black community, right? They have these myths and misinformation about the mental health aspect of things. I'm talking like the illnesses, the diseases, the doctors, the treatments, the meds, we have our myths. And for a long time, that prolonged me from taking my meds. Like, I was there, I was ready. I know I needed the help. I knew there was some stuff going on. I had at the time I was in a relationship with someone for 18 years. And when I came home and told him the doctors gave me this med, he told me it was a placebo. And, whether I believed him or not, when somebody says something to you, right, it plants that seed. It makes you start thinking and wondering. And I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of fear for me, there was a lot of fear for me. But years went on, and some really, really, really bad life circumstances happened. And by the time I was in my 30s, I was a mess, guys. I was a mess. So yeah, I had to surrender. I went back to the doctors. I had to start my process all over again, right? And this time they prescribed me Celexa, and I took them. When you see things falling apart around you, right? And you're in the middle of all this stuff going on around you, right? And then you have all this stuff going on inside you, right? It was bad. And even after I started taking my meds, it took more time. Again, I worked in the medical field I started working in the medical field probably when I was 19, 20, 21, somewhere around there. And I continued to work in the medical field up until my late 40s. I've gone to school for many different things regarding to health. I took anatomy, physiology, psychology. I took a lot of courses, guys, in the medical field, and other things regarding business, accounting, and then I think from there it was just all medical. I love the medical field. I love it. As I mentioned, while I started being more in tune to my signs and symptoms, since I've been on my journey from mental health awareness, heading down the journey towards mental health wellness, once I got the information and started learning about mental health diseases and, signs, symptoms, cause, effect, I really got in tune with that stuff, right? And then I started realizing, my sister has had a mental health disease all her life. I remember being a little girl, because my sister was like 1 year over me, right? I'm 1 year under her. We're a year apart, me and my sister. And as an adult, I would have flashbacks and remember, seeing my sister go through stuff, right? And being that we're kids and she's a year older than me, like I didn't pay attention to that stuff. Like I mean, I seen it, I was there. I guess it just didn't click. It just didn't click. Until I became an adult and started addressing my mental health issues, right? As I continued on my journey to mental health wellness, started realizing mama has some mental health issues. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I use the term mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education, okay? Because you really have to understand this disease. You really have to understand this disease. Like I said, my sister lost her battle to her mental health disease at the age of 35. There was other aspects involved as far as active addiction. Okay. And I talk to you guys all the time about, the mental health disease aspect and active addiction. It's a really bad mix. You really don't want to do it. In some instances, in most instances, you will die. You will die. I also am a recovering addict. I have 18 years clean, right? And when I became serious, like really, really serious about my mental health disease, I knew that I could not drink alcohol. I could not smoke pot. I could not do any drugs, right? When we were on mental health meds, right? Mental health medications and street drugs do not mix. I've seen it. You will die. Absolutely. I've had several family members pass on. I've had my sister passed on. Oh, and I told you guys, right? I also, that light bulb went off again. Like sometimes when you're young, people will tell you stuff or you'll see stuff, right? And not understand at that time when you are either looking at it or somebody gives you some information about something, it doesn't click, right? I also told you guys in my past videos, right? I'm trying to think when I was a very young woman, right? I started having conversations with my mother about some stuff because, as you guys know, I think I told you guys this before. Mom is an only child, and she was taken from her mom. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. It's just this thing I do. I told you guys, I don't know if it's a nervous thing, or just a crazy sense of humor. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, because my mother was an only child and I never met either one of her parents, right? When I became a young adult, I started asking my mom questions. Like as a kid growing up, she never talked about her mother, ever, right? And when I became an adult, I never asked because as a kid, we don't think, you guys. Anyway, we're not going to stay stuck there. We're going to keep going. So yeah, as a young woman, I started asking my mom questions about her parents. I thought it was strange that I never met them, right? Or never heard anything about them. I've shared this with you guys before. Mom told me that her mother went crazy and died in a mental institution. And that's when the bells started going off. Also, you guys, I think we talked about this. I had put some stuff up, right, on my page about, let me just get there so I can So we did a whole skit on, let me just see when that was. So on yesterday's show, right? 9/28. When I did the session addressing the relationship experts, relationship coaches, and we addressed the textbook information about the disease of a mental health, right? And in that session, I told you guys, so I put up information, right, on my YouTube page for you guys, the textbook stuff, okay? And one of those, there's a post, and it has like different pieces of information tied together about different sections. I'm trying to find it because I want to say this to you guys the right way, okay? And I actually, after yesterday's show, went over that information again because I wanted to revisit some stuff about that, okay? Give me 1 second, guys. I just gotta find that piece of information. So after I did yesterday's show, right, and went over some things with you guys about the textbook information, I myself had to go back and refresh. Sorry, guys. I was eating my dinner yesterday, and there's like a little piece of, I guess it's like a piece of meat or something in there, and I don't like it. I'm so sorry, guys. I did floss my teeth after I ate because I didn't want food in my teeth. Have you guys laughing at me and looking at me funny, right? Right before I started pre-recording, guys, I wrote that stuff down. And now that I'm here, my brain races. I'm sorry, I have no control over that. And just so people know who don't know, racing thoughts is a sign or a symptom of certain mental health diseases. I myself was diagnosed with depression, anxiety attacks, and panic attacks. So racing thoughts is a part of my mental illness, okay? Here we go. I found it. So the information about whether or not mental health diseases can run in the family, right? And there were specific information related to what particular mental health diseases run in the family. Bipolar was number one, guys. My sister, I told you guys, in her younger years, she was diagnosed with depression. It got upgraded to manic depressed. It got upgraded to just manic. And then in her final days before she passed away, she was diagnosed with bipolar. Okay. Had she not been in active addiction, had she been taking her mental health meds as prescribed, I mean, there's no guarantee, but I think my sister would have still been here. And this is why this is so important to me. This is why I've decided to become an advocate for mental health awareness, mental health wellness tied to education, because it does run in my family. Okay. And at the beginning of my journey in my younger years, right? Like I said, it's been around me my whole life and I never knew, right? Until I got into my 20s and started having some signs and symptoms myself, okay? And I probably had the signs and symptoms, along the way, but like I said, also, so you guys know, if anyone does have signs or symptoms of a mental health illness, if there is some concern about a mental health illness, right? It does not get better on its own. It does not go away. It does not get better on its own. And if left untreated, it's not a good thing. Okay? Just letting you guys know that. Here it is. And this information is posted up on my website, on my YouTube page. And you'll have to I think it's like the little, because I put like little skits of my family members, like my journey through my life up on my channel. And you will definitely see it, okay? And then there's probably one that's mixed in with the sessions, because it's a little longer, that YouTube doesn't consider it to be like a little skit. Like, you'll see it. Trust me, you'll see it. I got to figure out ways to design my channel better to, I want to be able to put like key information up as well and not mixed in with the pictures or the sessions. Like, I'm new to this, guys. I'm learning as I go, okay? Risk factors. A history of mental illness in a blood relative, such as a parent or sibling. I told you guys, my sister had a mental health illness. Mom has mental health issues that went undetected, right? So because of her disease of addiction and being in active addiction for so long, the signs and the symptoms went undetected because a lot of the behaviors and the stuff that was going on with her could have been the result of her active drug use, right? But years after Mom stopped using drugs, right, I seen things in her. Being that I already had the information about my sister. I remember Mom telling me that her mom went crazy and died in a mental institution. I now started experiencing my own mental health ailment. And through reading, going to school, researching, being a mental health patient myself, I noticed things in my mom that I always knew, but let me tell you guys. So in the beginning of my journey, right, when I started having these mental health symptoms, right, and it would be so bad, like at times it was explosive, right? And at first I was just like, I shared this in my videos in the past, right? So whenever the symptoms would arise or I got triggered, right? Because we all have our triggers in certain things, right? I would feel it. I would feel it coming, right? And I'd be like, oh God, not again, not again. And I would try to hold on to it, right? And then it would just happen, right? And then I went through feelings because it happened. I had to look at the harm that I caused my people around me, right? I don't know where I was going with that. You guys know I just lost my chain of thoughts and it will come back to me. So when these things would happen, right? I know where I was going with it. I would feel bad that I would have this mental health meltdown, right? And I'd have to see like the harm that I caused my loved ones around me, right? And I would feel bad about it, and there was a period of time where I was just asking my higher power, like, what is this? Like, why is this happening to me, right? And then I thought it was just who I was. I thought it was just who I was, right? Because we come from those neighborhoods, right? There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot going on. It was a lot of stuff. We were exposed to a lot of stuff. So as a young adult, when these things started happening to me, I didn't relate them to me having a mental health issue. I just thought that was the way I was, right? But I knew it couldn't be. I knew it because I could feel it when it would come, right? And I would try to hold it like, no, not again, right? Yeah. So the same thing with mom, right? Mom got up in years, and so did I. And once I had identified, acknowledged, and addressed my mental health issues, went to the doctor, started, I've been going to school in the medical field since I was 21, all the way through the middle of my life, my mid years of my life, right? So I had all the knowledge. I had all the information. I myself was a patient. I walked with my sister by her side through her whole journey and seeing stuff and I knew, right? But for mom, in the beginning, I thought it was because of the active addiction. But, when mom got so far in age, she had stopped using the street drugs, right? But the behaviors were still there. And they were bad. They were bad. Like, I would watch my mom spaz out on my brother and feel bad for my brother. Like, and I would have to talk to my mother, like, and again, right? Some people, right? When you try to address certain things with them, right? They get offended. They be in denial. But because I play a key role in my family when it comes to my mom and my siblings, right? I have always been the caretaker of all of them. I have always been the one, right? They all come to me when there's a problem. Two of my siblings has lived with me off and on more than once. I've watched my other brother, my baby brother, go through stuff. I've watched mom. I know these people my whole life, right? So where I was going with that is like longer, further down in my journey. In fact, I don't think it was till after my sister passed, because before it was always me, my sister, and mom. And me and mom, like, watching my sister go through stuff and trying to guide her and care for her, and help her. But once my sister left the earth, it left just me and mom. So there was no longer that third person, it just left me and mom. And that's when I started seeing stuff in my mom. And I was like, oh my God, like light bulbs went off. I was like, oh my God, I have anxiety. And sometimes my mom, right, she will call me full of anxiety, even in panic mode, like about something so small. And only because I went through it myself and identified, acknowledged, and addressed and had some years in treatment that I started to realize these things. Like, sometimes I couldn't be around my mom. Because when she's anxious, then I get anxious, and a lot of it, there's many factors involved. Like a lot of it, right? I don't know if you guys have heard me say this along my journey, and in my book, God's Gift to You, book 1, okay? When I was a little girl, mom used to scream. I'm talking scream. Not a regular upset person yelling, Mom would, it was, you guys, it was bad, right? And I always thought that that was part of her active addiction, right? But later on in the years, when she had no longer the problem with active addiction, I was still seeing stuff. Her spazzing out on my brother. I'd be like, oh no. I had to tell my mom, like, I think you have anxiety and you need to talk to your doctor. But anyway, like, so yeah, mom's a big trigger for me, right? Sometimes I can't be around her because my anxiety, I can't breathe. Like and she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. Um, and I think I told you guys, even as an adult, mom used to yell at me and I would cry as an adult. Yeah. Anyway, I think she is getting better in that area. Like she's making progress. Because I had to tell her, like, you know, we don't live together, right? But mom will call me, right? And be going off about the smallest little thing, right? So now I can't breathe. Like my anxiety, like, you know, when you witness a family member or loved one, right, in the middle of a mental health crisis, or it's scary. It's scary, guys. Yeah, that's all we're going to say on that. Like I said, mom is starting to calm down. I don't know if she's starting to calm down or she just doesn't call me with that stuff anymore. Because, I mean, it'd be stuff that can get done tomorrow or a week later. Mom has like, yeah, yeah. Again, we're going to go over this risk factor one more time. I'm giving you the textbook information and I am giving you illustrations of what I have experienced. I go through this stuff every day. You know, I'm surrounded by family members who have mental health diseases, other than my sister who has now passed on. Like the only family members who have addressed the mental health disease is me and my sister. My sister, because she had no choice, it started in her adolescent years. Whether I had signs or symptoms in my adolescent years, I don't know. My signs and symptoms, right, they didn't intensify and become too great for me until I was in my 20s, right? But I remember being a little girl and watching my sister go through stuff that I wasn't in tune to. I knew nothing about. I didn't ask questions. She was just my sister and I just loved her. So the textbook information, the providers, the scientists, the researchers, textbook stuff says a history of mental health illnesses in a blood relative such as a parent or sibling. Those are the risk factors. In other words, if you have a parent or a sibling, blood sibling, with a mental health illness, chances are, it's not all the way, it's not always, chances are, if you are having some signs and symptoms, you may have a mental health disease as well. Okay? Another risk factor, stressful life situations such as financial problems. Now that was a major one for me. Mom never worked. She was a single parent, 4 children in the home, 2 boys, 2 girls, and never worked. Never worked. Always on welfare. Went from being on welfare to being on disability. Back in those neighborhoods when mom was in active addiction. Um, it was bad. Like I said, the state came in, the state intervened. They came in and took her children from her. Okay. Um, as an adult, after growing up in foster care systems in my early years, once I became an adult, right, I had very little education. When my daughter was first born, I want to say like the first 2 or 3 years of her life, yes, I was on welfare. By the time she was 4, I came off, guys. I went to school. I worked hard. Like, that was no life for me. I think it was more like, I already did that as a kid with my mom, and I didn't want to do it again. There was a point in my life when I got past the adolescent and teenage years, right? I was so grateful. I was like, I never have to go back there again. It was bad. Um, but yeah, like, even though I educated myself, right, because of my mental health condition, I still have financial situations. It was hard trying to not just get a job, but keep a job. Like I said, I would have like a 2-year stretch, get fired, got to start all over again. Have a 4-year stretch, get fired, got to start all over again. But I never gave up. I never gave up. I lost one job, I'd get another one, right? Because I just didn't want my mental health disease to disable me, okay? I had to work really hard. I had a little kid, I did not want her to have to live out her childhood years the way me and my siblings had to live out ours. So mental health disease or not, like, I had to make things happen for my daughter. And yes, it has not been easy. Yes, she and I has had our struggles because of my mental health ailments, right? But I never lost custody of her. I wasn't like physically abusive to her. I don't believe I was like mentally abusive towards her. Yes, I was hard on her. It was a lot at stake. I did not want to lose custody of her. Like I said, mom was taken from her mom when she was 7 years old, never to see or hear from her mother again. Mom's children were taken from her. My sister's children were taken from her. So as far as me losing custody of my daughter, that was not an option. I don't give a damn. We're going to stay together. But there has been some scary moments in my life in regards to my mental health disease that she has seen me go through. So maybe she may have some kind of trauma there herself. We talked a lot about it when she became an adult, and I had to say to her, if you need to go get counseling, I would recommend you do that. And if you need me to go with you, I will, to support you. Anything you need me to do, I will do it. We're going to move on. We're not going to stay stuck there. So as far as financial stresses, yeah, that was a big factor. That was a huge factor, not just for me, but all my siblings. From when we were babies. That's been our whole life. Brain damage, right? If you have had a brain damage, right, as a result of a serious injury, traumatic brain injury, such as a violent blow to the head, it is a possibility that you may end up with a mental health ailment. Example, I've had blows to my head as a kid. Lots of them. Lots of them. Lots of them. I've even fell off a mountain one time. I'm laughing, but this is real talk. In my, I wasn't even in my adolescent years when I fell off that mountain. And I'm talking like a mountain. Yeah, I fell off a mountain. I think I blacked out. I woke up in a school gymnasium, and that information is in my book. That I will tell you about my book. The rest is you have to read it, okay? Yeah, I've had traumatic blows to my head, right? Another example. I tell you guys I'm in a relationship now. It's been like a year, and although he is not an addict, I think he drinks a lot, bordering alcoholism. Like, we can never tell someone that they're an alcoholic. Like, it has to be of their own admission. But being a recovering addict, 18 years clean, yeah. And again, the cause and the effect of excessive drinking, right? And we're not talking beer. We're talking hard liquor, guys. It's bad. Also, I do know he had 2 major car accidents. And I'm not talking about no fender benders. I'm talking real major car accidents. Cars flipping over, ending up in the ditch. You black out during a car accident. The airbag explodes. The steering wheel hits the chest, knocks the wind out of you. Yeah, he's had some really bad accidents. And no, he is not a mental health patient, but there are definitely some things off about him. And I'm not judging him. He is a very good friend of mine. I've known him when I was in my early 20s. I am now in a relationship with him. Have been in a relationship with him for the past year. There's been a lot of things I don't understand about the relationship. But I have to understand who I'm dealing with, and whether he realizes it or not, he's got some stuff going on with him mentally. I mean, he works every day. He has his own place. But just like, you know how sometimes you talk to somebody, like you try to conversate with them, and it's just off. It's just off. You'd be like, what the hell is this person talking about? My poor baby, right? Yeah. You can have more than one mental health disorder at the same time, such as depression and substance abuse disorder. Been there, did that. Been there, did that. In my earlier years, before I was aware of my mental health disease, I battled with an addiction. We're not talking heroin. We're not talking smoking crack. Doesn't matter though, right? Doesn't matter. An addiction is an addiction, right? So yeah. And like I said, I have a family history of drug addiction. Mom was an addict. Dad was an addict. All my siblings are addicts. The baby, I don't think did any like drugs, but the way he drinks is bad. It's bad. We all smoke cigarettes. And you might think that cigarettes, although they are dangerous as far as your lungs, COPD, asthma, shortness of breath, emphysema, cancer, apparently somehow or another it affects your brain. I don't know how. But that's what they say. That part I don't know about, okay? I have my opinions, but again, I'm no doctor. I'm no provider. I'm no counselor. I'm no therapist. I'm no psychiatrist, and I am not a scientist. I have not done extensive studies, especially like group related studies. If you guys don't know what that means, they take a bunch of people who seem to have the same disease, and they do like studies on them. So I don't have that experience. I can only tell you from what I've read in textbooks, and my personal opinion. Neurotransmitters, guys. Neurotransmitters. And I went over this with you guys before in regards to my disease. Okay? Neurotransmitters are naturally occurring brain chemicals that carry signals to other parts of your brain and body. When the neural networks involving these chemicals are impaired, such as a blow to the head, whether it's a physical fist fight, you sustained a blow to the head, whether it's a car accident. We're not talking fender benders. I'm talking major car accidents. And you know what? Sometimes it don't even take all that. Like if you're in an accident and a car hits you a certain way, right? Again, the soft tissue underneath the skeletal brain, right? It's covered. It like there's other fluids in there. The soft tissue is not so connected that it does not move, right? If you get jerked around, that soft tissue under the skeletal bone, even if it shifts just a little bit, that's an injury. Okay? The function of nerve receptors and nerve systems change, leading to depression and other emotional disorders. Okay? I think I told you guys the physical aspect of my disease. My brain, those chemicals, sometimes the brain makes more of one chemical and not enough of the other chemical. So one chemical could be falling behind, which can result in depression. That's what the medication is. I take let me slow my brain down. I'm sorry, guys. I take it's the generic is citalopram, but the name brand is, oh God, guys, help me. I take citalopram, which is the generic name for, oh my God, I got a brain freeze, guys. I can't, is it Celexa? I take citalopram. I have my phone right here. I want to say it's Alexa. I should know this, but for some reason, stuff happens to my brain. So let me just real quick, guys, because I don't want to be giving people the wrong information. It's very important, okay? Why am I in here? What is my phone doing? Okay, I got it. I want to say it is Celexa. Yeah, Celexa, citalopram, okay? And what that is, it's like a mix of chemicals in a pill form, okay? So the pill, like I said, is a mix of chemicals, and the chemicals is what the brain should be naturally making on its own. But for some reason, mine does not make enough of one of those brain chemicals, which could be a result of the injuries and the blows that I have sustained to my head throughout my life. That's the physical aspect of it, okay? I know I put this information up there, but some people don't like to read, and this is very important information. Like I said, I didn't have anything planned out. It is Friday. We are closing out the week. I just wanted to do a review of the things we went over this week. And then, so after that, let me just give you guys, we're going to go over this one piece. So I told you guys the risk factors, right? There's more information up there, right? But there was some key points that I wanted to put out there for people who don't actually read stuff. I don't need anybody to miss any information, okay? Mental health diseases, it's very critical, okay? Like I said, my mom said her mother died in a mental institution, like she went crazy and died in a mental institution. We know that there has to be some other aspects to it. I am missing some key factors. I never met my mother's mother. And I can tell you this, from the information I got from my mom about her mother, it sounds like her mother was a heavy drinker. And that's why mom was taken from her mother when she was 7 years old, okay? Again, alcohol, cause and effect, right? So we went over the risk factors. We can address the symptoms at a later time, because I always go over symptoms with you guys. I told you, once a month or twice a month while we're doing our sessions, I'm going to keep throwing out the symptoms, okay? Because we need to keep that stuff up front. The reason why I did a session yesterday regarding the, okay, so you guys know, I did the session yesterday addressing the relationship experts, relationship coaches, trying to guide people through the process of landing their power partner related to be a power couple. I also wanted to address the researchers, the scientists. We went over this yesterday, remember, guys? I wanted to address the researchers, the scientists, about the information in regards to, this is what they say about people with mental health diseases, okay, guys? Pay attention. Apparently, we have trouble understanding and relating to situations and to people. That's what they're saying about us mental health patients. Wait a minute. Let's read that again. Trouble understanding and relating to situations and to people. And I went over a whole sketch as far as, like, first of all, whether a person has a mental health disease or not, right? Some of those people have trouble understanding and relating to situations and to people too, right? You don't have to have the aspect of the mental health disease. You could just be an alcoholic. Like I said, I've worked in white collar most of my life in the professional field, right? And people like to point the finger at you, like it's all about you, right? You're the only one that's screwed up. You're the only one that does anything wrong, right? That got under my skin so bad. So bad. While yes, I have a lot of signs and symptoms related to having a mental health disease, I have the physical aspects, I have the environmental aspects. Like, yes, I more than qualify as a person who has a mental health disease. The doctors have diagnosed me with depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. But understanding and relating to situations and to people, I do not have that aspect. I do not. What I do know is that not only do I have a mental health disease, but when I walk out that door every day, whether I'm going to hang with friends, whether I'm going to the clubs, whether I'm going to work, and they're even in church, in the doctor's offices, right? I choose not to. I have a mental health disease, right? I've identified, acknowledged, and addressed. I'm on treatment. I take meds. I think I'm the sanest one around. And I'm going to tell you something, right? And I'm not saying I'm this smart, right? I mean, I'm no dummy, right? But I'm not that smart. But if you realize stuff, right? I'm being careful how I say this, right? I think all the really smart people go crazy. And I'm going to tell you why. This is just my belief. It's just my opinion. It's just from everything that I've observed in the 50-something years that I've been on this earth, right? I don't think the mental brain is supposed to know too much. You know, I think the way our Father in heaven designed our minds and our bodies. If you remember in the Garden of Eden, when Eve ate from the tree of knowledge or of life, right? She ate that apple from the tree of life, right? There are some things that humans are not supposed to know. But you know how we humans are, right? Even when I ask God for wisdom, knowledge, discernment, right? Remember I told you guys, you got to be careful. You ask for a rain and you might get a flood, right? I think some people have so much information running around in there, that's why they freaking go crazy. That's just my opinion. And yeah, we got a lot of, I'm using my words carefully. So we do have some people who may not have a high IQ. Yes, they're running around here. They do some stuff. They kill some people. It could be a mental health disease aspect. It could be due to the disease of active addiction, or it could just be out of desperation. Like some people, right? We don't know their lifestyle. We don't know, like, are you homeless? Are you hungry? You know, I've experienced homelessness. I've done it, right? And I know that when people are pushed up against the wall as far as finances, shelter, livelihood, yeah, they can snap. They're desperate. They need stuff. But the most people that do the most killing, if you guys pay attention, it be them smart ones. They be smart as hell. Smart as hell. I don't think our brain is supposed to handle all that information. I really don't. If it did, we'd be God, right? If we had all the wisdom and all the knowledge that man upstairs has, I don't think we can handle it. That's just my opinion. Anyway, we're going to move on, guys. Again, as I told you guys, I said this by mouth. Now I'm going to read what the textbook and the scientists say, okay, to confirm. Because I told you guys, I'm giving you the textbook version as well, the studies, the researches, the statistics. But I'm also walking you through my journey in opening up about my mental health disease. Because while there can be a lot of key factors tied to the textbook, right? There's some key factors that's not. And I really truly believe it is the educational piece. Because if you don't know what's going on with you, it makes it harder. It makes it harder. And I'm not just talking about, reading and studying and learning about your mental health disease. I'm talking about the medication. I'm talking about things you can do beyond meds to relieve some of the symptoms. Again, I've had to educate myself because, like I said, when my daughter was born, I had not yet. Did I finish? I didn't finish high school. I did have my GED though. I got my GED before she was born, right? And then by the time she was like 2 or 3, I went to college. So, with that being said, there was a window of time that I was on welfare. Like I said, by the time she was 4, I was done with welfare. So, welfare is a good option. Not judging anyone. I'm not putting it down. Sometimes we got to do what we got to do. For me, I didn't want to be on welfare. I was that little girl in my mother's household. I didn't want to raise my daughter like that. It was important to me. So yeah, there was a time, very small window, I was on welfare. So I lost my chain of thought, but it came back. Educate yourselves, people. Remember what I told you? The more education you have, the more certificates you have, the more courses you take, the more valuable you become to a company. Okay? We don't want to just get a job. We want a job that's going to pay us above minimum wage. Minimum wage is just, yeah. And again, even with being on Social Security, right? Another fear of mine, right? And I know this may not be the case. I've never really been on Social Security, but this is just what I imagine, right? If they give me a fixed income, right? Right now where I live, I pay market price rent. I live in a good neighborhood, right? If they give me a fixed income, right? Would I be able to afford market price rent, or would I have to go into controlled rent, right? And where I lived in Boston, right? When you lived in controlled rent, you lived in a neighborhood, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on in those neighborhoods. And that's why I had to get my daughter out of there. So I don't know how much truth that is to that, but I don't want to be in a controlled rent neighborhood. I don't want to live in a neighborhood where, not to put people down. Again, I am empathetic to a lot of stuff, right? I lived in a building. There was like 4 of us to a building, right? Me and this older woman, we lived on the first floor. Our apartments was across to us from each other. It was good. But them neighbors on the second floor and the third floor, they were selling drugs. There was drug trafficking. All kind of people, black, white, young, old, lined up at both sides of the hallway. The loud music, the parties. It was awful. One time, I was in my house and the police surrounded the whole damn building, looking for the girl on the 3rd floor's boyfriend. We're not doing that. I grew up in that stuff as a little kid. For me, again, my anxiety, I can't. I don't want to be nowhere where I don't feel safe. I just don't want to do it. I grew up in those neighborhoods. We're running out of time, guys. I'm pushing it. So, you guys, we're going to end this out, right? And I just want to tell you one more thing. Maybe we can pick up there when we come back on Monday. One more thing. I did post something about suicide hotline. And I'm going to give anybody, I'm just going to put it out there, okay? Suicide hotline, 1-800-273-8255 or 988. I'm going to say that one more time. 1-800-273-8255 or 988. This is a pre-recorded video. You can freeze it. There's also hotline numbers on my YouTube page, okay? And if you have to call 911, you call 911, okay? We got to take care of ourselves, right? Where I'm going to leave off, and we're going to pick up again on Monday, because as I said, I'm going to take Saturday and Sunday off. I need to prepare some stuff. We got a whole week of us ahead of us, so I need to put some stuff in order. I want to talk real quick. We got 4 minutes left. Learning and becoming comfortable with my gift, right? And what I mean by that, we're going to go over that next week. I wanted to do a show on that, but some other stuff came up and we did a show around that. What I mean by learning and becoming comfortable with my gift is this: my mouth, right? And I'm going to tell you guys, right? Some people get bumped into feelings and offended just because you spoke up. Some people do stuff to you, right? And y'all all cool, right? As long as you keep your mouth quiet about it, right? But the minute you start talking about how someone has harmed you or injured you, they get bumped into feelings. They get embarrassed. They don't want the world to know. Another thing, right? And I'm just going to put this out there. We can readdress it later. As I told you guys, I'm in recovery, right? I have 18 years clean, right? I have a mental health disease, and I also had battled the disease of addiction, which comes with a program that we go to. We go to meetings. In that meeting, there's a lot of both men and women with all kind of issues, mental health issues, whether they're in active addiction or they have like 1 year clean, 2 years clean, 20 years clean, 30 years clean. If they don't do the step work, they still have behaviors. I didn't feel comfortable going to a meeting and sharing. You know, it's supposed to be a safe place for you to be able to share. Like, it's like going to counseling. It's like free counseling, right? They have fights in the meetings sometimes. And I'm not giving this program a bad name. I'm not trying to scare nobody. You know, every area is different, okay? Every area is different. They're not all the same. So if you have addiction and you need the help, please do not let me discourage you from going to get the help you need, okay? I'm just speaking from my experience, being in recovery for a long period of time, having relationships with a number of people in recovery, right? Yeah, I mean, I tell people the truth, right? I'm not going to sit there and just watch people act all crazy and not say nothing. I mean, again, like I would be doing people a disservice if I didn't tell them the truth, right? And the truth, like I said, is like that Band-Aid when you rip it off. It hurts, right? The truth can hurt. So why am I going to go to a meeting that I can't speak freely without being in fear that somebody's going to fight me or do something to me, right? So that's why this platform is so perfect for me. I'm in my home. I'm in a safe space. You know, I'm giving people the information. I'm doing what I love, advocating for mental health awareness, mental health wellness, tied to education. You know, some people want the information. Some people need the information, right? But it doesn't matter if you need the information. It's the ones who actually want the information. You know, I am here. This isn't about the disease of addiction. This isn't about anything that's not related to mental health wellness. Mental health awareness, mental health wellness, tied to education. I am passionate in this. I've been doing it my whole life. I know what I'm talking about, textbook-wise, experience-wise. I want this to be a safe place for people with mental health diseases to come and get the information that they need to get better. Okay, guys? Have a wonderful weekend. share, subscribe. I hope you continue to follow my journey. Like I said, I absolutely love being here with you guys. An hour and a half. You come. This is a safe place. We're all here for the same reason. You don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed about any mental health aspects that you might be going through. Like I said, I'm a woman in my 50s. I have a mental health condition. I've had it my whole life. So there's no judgment. And you can say whatever you need to say. This is your time. It's a safe place. Leave me messages. I do respond to my messages. My higher power put me here, and I absolutely love it. See you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend, okay? Bye.